Okay, this is Tiny's week 3 long sequence. This is excellent. Now this landing side front cross, uh, I thought that was beautiful. You did a really nice job of getting out of her way. That's a good send. Okay, so if you want to tighten up, and that's a pretty good job getting to that second front cross. Um, I think that's as good as you are going to get on that second front cross. In order to tighten up her line just a little bit, make it a little bit smoother, also increase the odds of keeping that green bar up. It would have been fair if she knocked that green bar. Um, in order to do that, you're going to need a little bit more distance on that other jump, the one before the yellow, before the post. You do a decent lateral send, but you're going to need a little bit more if you want to get down 2 jumps to the front cross that you just did to get great timing. As it was good and it was clean, so it was, kind of good enough. But if you want to do a little better, I think you need more lateral send distance to the jump 2 jumps ago in order to get downstream. Or you're going to have to start sprinting faster, and I think you're running as fast as you can on that. So yeah, that's fair. Like that, you tried layering the post and she didn't get to it. Um, this is all just part of like proofing with the weaves, and it's kind of funny because I mentioned this with Mabin. If you recall, if you watch the Mabin feedback first, that's exactly what I was talking about. And I didn't watch this, before I said that. Is those are two separate things to proof, and they're both really good things to proof. One is being right close by, closer than you'd normally like, and running by her. And then the other thing is layering the post. And those are kind of like lifelong skills that are important to practice, both of them. And they are different. And unfortunately, where that post is going to come up a lot in your life. And even if you go to other places that don't have posts, sometimes judges will have jumps there or something like that, where it's right at the distance you want to be. And so you have to decide whether you want to layer it versus getting in closer than you'd normally have to. So either further away and layering it or closer than you'd normally. Either one, you have to you want to practice both of them. You may end up practicing both of them and say, "Boy, this is really hard. My dog really hates it when I get that close, or my dog really hates it when I layer. They just can't do it." And you may end up deciding that's just something I'm not going to even try at a trial attempt, but then just get really good at the other one, and at least you'll know when it comes to a trial which of those two options you're going to have. But it's going to come up in your whole life all the time, where you're not going to be able to run at the exact distance you would prefer to. So through this was a really nice job. This is a nice lateral send. This is all really good through here. Your rear cross went a little bit more shoulder rotation. Again, I think a little bit more shoulder rotation here would have made this turn a little bit nicer. You tend to use, I think, if you've seen it and you watch yourself through these videos, hopefully you can see it. I don't know if you realize it when you're doing it, but you get away with it a little bit more with Mabin, and you can't get away with it as much with Tiny when you use your arm a lot, but not your shoulders. So I think that Tiny would do better with more shoulder rotation. And the simple fact is, it's easier to move her arms than it is her whole top half of our torso. You have to be more flexible in your spine and it's physically more demanding to do it. But I do think that Tiny would benefit from that, rotating your shoulders more versus just the arm. Oopsie, and there she just skipped some. As far as asking her to collect or cueing things to like collect at the weaves, that's I guess it's kind of up to you, because there are people, very nice blind, and this is nice. Good job. So you will hear a couple different opinions on that. Some people, they really want to cue their dog to collect into the weaves. And then there's other people that will tell you to teach the dog to do it independently and just practice that. And so the dog learns to adjust their own stride to get to the weaves. That rear cross was a little better to get to that line. But again, I think some of it might be because she patterned it after doing this a couple of times, especially with those smart border collies. They tend to do that. Once again, rotating your shoulders a little bit more. Would probably give a stronger cue to her. So when it comes to cueing deceleration or collection before the weaves, I guess it's kind of a choice you got to make, and it doesn't really have to be black and white also. You can think of it as you can try to fade how much collection cues you give them. I think that personally, I think the best approach, that's also more realistic, because of course, ideally they all just do it all on their own and we just say weave and they can do it and find their own collection or extension based on the distance. I think it's a good thing. It's one of the things, like a lot of things in agility, is that we try to practice it. We work on it and practice where the dog just learns to do it themselves, that we don't tell her to do not try to collect them into the weaves. We let the dog figure it out. We set them up with like difficult weave entrances with the dog, knowing that they're going to be extension, and we just try to get the dog to figure it out, their own footwork and their own collection. But then in a trial environment, when the dog's amped up a little bit more, maybe you do babysit it a little bit more. And some people will tell you they won't babysit it at a trial at all either, and that's fair. But especially early on, when the dog is younger, you may want to babysit that a collection cue a little bit more at weave entrances. As long as it's a fair entry, and this one is, as long as it's fair and safe, and this one is, then I would have the dog just sort it out themselves and just pay them when they get it right, and they'll figure it out. And Tiny's smart, so she'll figure it out. So really great work this week with both Mabin and Tiny.